Thank you, Rajni ji. First of all, thank you for reading my book from cover to cover. Not many people might have read all my stories, so a big thank you to Rajni, and thank you for your very kind words. Um, I must thank India International Center for inviting me to this webinar. I was delighted and must say rather surprised when I received this invitation. Delighted because I would get an opportunity to tell about my books. A little surprised because IIC in the e-brochure described me as an eminent author. Prior to this, I had no intimation about my eminence, either from self or from a third party. So thank you, IIC, for that description. A close friend, herself an author, when I shared the IIC e-brochure with her, she asked, since when? So you can figure out what my friends think about. So it's a delight to be here with this august audience and distinguished panel of authors. What I plan to tell is share a few words about this collection of stories and also read the lead story. Rajni ji asked me which is your favorite story. Uh, I I love all my children. All my stories are my children, so I am very partisan to all of them. So it is very difficult to say, but the lead story is The Invisible Poet, which is really a micro story. It is less than 500 words, can be read in 2 minutes. And why I made it the lead story, I'll explain in 2 or 3 lines. First, about this book. This book is a collection of a range of stories. I have really taken the stories which I felt are worth telling, and they happen to be of different genres. There is obviously young adult, the Mona Lisa story, as the chair herself read. There are a few other young adult stories, college fantasy, fiction. There are travelogues, adventures, um, uh, and a range of different. There is satire, there is humor. Then the characters I bring into the stories. You would have Ram and Lakshman and Sita, then Krishna and Radha, Henry Kissinger, Chanakya, Miss Smith. You'd wonder what a senior civil servant was having a midnight tryst with the most honorable Miss Smith under the direct supervision of the Indian bureaucrats, boss and senior. So for that, you have to read the story. You might also wonder, you may have seen many Ram Leelas, but you may never have come across Sita asking Ram for a bidi. Why that happened, you have to read the story. About the lead story, The Invisible Poet, it's about Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda. Gita Govinda was a seminal work. It is a 12th century, Jayadevji was a 12th century poet and wrote this amazing Sanskrit Kavya. It is a Mahakavya actually. It is the Sringar Mahakavya, the most well-known Sringar Mahakavya that India knows of. In amazingly lyrical Sanskrit, this poem is written in Ashtapadis, 8 foot. What is striking about this? My story is about a legend that everybody in Odisha is familiar with. We read it in our textbooks in school. Uh, the legend is that Krishna himself came and finished Gita Govinda for Jayadev Swami. I have given it a little twist, and I will now proceed to read the story for you. Invisible Poet. The poet was fully immersed in Krishna Bhakti. He had drunk deep from the ancient masters, studying the Bhagavata Puran, Harivansa, Mahabharata, and all the scriptures that sang the glory of Krishna, the dark blue god. But his thirst was still not quenched. He wished to create a poem, a prayer that would drive the reader or listener to such ecstasy and devotion as the poet had himself experienced. He worked hard on his epic poem, Gita Govindam, meditating over each word, phrase, and pada. Every stanza of the Ashtapadi, seeking to capture in the mortal bodies of Krishna and Radha the sublime love of the divine consorts, was a challenge. Singing the glory of Krishna was also easy, yet so very difficult. Everyone pined for him, but how many became one with the effulgent being? How many could ever taste the elixir of Advaita, rising above the limitations of flesh to catch a glimpse of that elusive and unattainable bliss? A mere poem would not suffice. The epic song must be a vehicle to transport the devotee to a higher plane and to transmute her. One who read it or heard it or saw it performed by a dancer would never be the same person again. She would be reborn in this very life. He worked more, not satisfied with his several drafts. After several months of contemplation, he finally got it. The poem was now nearly complete. Just one pada eluded him. Radha had been terribly hurt. How can her Krishna, for whom she had given all she had, her body and soul, name, honor, and even her pride, could accept the favors of another gopi, however attractive, artful, and voluptuous? A contrite Krishna was eager to make amends by offering a heartfelt apology. But a mere sorry just won't do, he knew. The poet pondered long and deep. What must Krishna say or do to appease Radha? He could not get the pada. Stuck at this point, he left his writing desk with the manuscript open at the unfinished Ashtapadi and went for a bath. Upon his return, he found that someone had completed his poem. Mama Shirasi Mandanam Dehi Padapallavamudaram, says Krishna to Radha. Pray, decorate my head by putting on it your feet, tender as leaf buds. I surrender and seek your forgiveness. Jayadev was thrilled. His voice quivered when he spoke to Padmavati, his beautiful wife, his own Radha, and a highly talented dancer. Can you believe it? When I was away at my bath, Krishna himself came and wrote the missing pada. Who else but Krishna would know how best to mollify Radha? Padmavati complimented Jayadev for completing Gita Govindam at long last. But when she turned back to go to the kitchen, a faint smile played on her luscious lips. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention.